There are moments in football that remind us the game isn't just about goals, glory, or trophies. It's about the people, their spirits, their heart, and sometimes, heartbreak. These are the stories of players whose lives ended too soon, reminding us that even heroes can face silent struggles. Let's start with Mark-Vivien Foé. He was the heartbeat of every team he played for. Towering, powerful, yet always smiling. Whether it was in Cameroon's green or Manchester City's sky blue, you could spot him easily. That stride, that confidence, that spark that made fans believe everything was possible when he was on the pitch. June 26, 2003, Lyon, France. Cameroon were facing Colombia in the Confederations Cup semi-final. It was supposed to be another step toward glory, another night to celebrate African brilliance on the world stage. But in the 72nd minute, everything changed. Foé wasn't tackled. There was no collision. He simply fell. In an instant, the stadium's roar faded into silence. His teammates froze. Opponents stopped running, and the medics sprinted onto the pitch. Cameras cut away as the world watched in disbelief. For 45 minutes, they tried everything. Oxygen, CPR, defibrillators, but Mark never opened his eyes again. He was just 28. The autopsy later revealed hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, an undetected heart condition that had silently followed him his whole life. Days later, Cameroon reached the final, where they lost narrowly versus France. His photo clutched high, his number 17 jersey held against the sky. Even the opponents, the referees, the fans, everyone stood in tears. Football had lost more than a player that day. It lost a brother. Foé's passing changed the sport forever. FIFA introduced stricter medical training, on-field defibrillators became mandatory, and awareness around heart conditions in athletes grew globally. Manchester City retired his number 17 shirt, a symbol of respect that no one would ever wear again. Diogo Jota wasn't just a talented forward, he was a heartbeat at Liverpool, known for his pace, work ethic, and infectious smile. Born in Portugal, he made his name at Wolves before joining the Reds in 2020, where he became a reliable match winner, helping the club to major trophies including the 2024-25 league title and becoming a fan favorite. On July 3, 2025, tragedy struck when Jota and his brother, Andrés Silva, died in a car accident in Spain. The crash sent shockwaves through the football world, with Liverpool confirming the loss in an emotional club statement. In the wake of the tragedy, Liverpool made a historic move. They permanently retired Jota's number 20 shirt, across all teams from the men's squad to the academy and women's side. It's the first time in the club's 133-year history they've done that, a powerful symbol of respect and remembrance. Some fans believe Jota's sudden passing has also cast a shadow over Liverpool's recent slump. They've lost several of their last 10 games, and many wonder if the grief and absence of their number 20 had unsettled the squad both emotionally and tactically. Jota leaves behind his wife, Ruth Cardoso, whom he recently married, and their 3 young children. His legacy goes beyond goals. He wasn't just a Red. He was forever our number 20. Next on the list is Antonio Puerta. He wasn't just a footballer, he was Sevilla's heartbeat. A local boy, born and raised just minutes from the Ramon Sanchez Pizjuan, who grew up dreaming of wearing the white and red. By his early 20s, he had become a symbol of everything the club stood for: courage, loyalty, and love for the game. His left foot was poetry in motion, calm under pressure, fierce when it mattered. But on August 25th, 2007, that same stadium that had celebrated him so many times fell into stunned silence. Sevilla were facing Getafe when, midway through the match, Puerta suddenly collapsed inside his own box. Teammates sprinted to his aid, the crowd held its breath. Moments later, he opened his eyes, stood up, and even walked off the pitch. And for a second, everyone thought the danger had passed. It hadn't. In the dressing room, he collapsed again. This time, it was far worse. Paramedics rushed him to the hospital, where doctors discovered the cruel truth: a rare hereditary heart condition. Over the next 3 days, they fought to save him. Fans gathered outside the hospital, praying for a miracle. But on August 28, 2007, Antonio Puerta, Sevilla's golden son, passed away. He was just 22. The pain rippled through Spain. Just a week later, his fiancée gave birth to their son, a child who would grow up hearing stories of the father he'd never meet, but who an entire city would never forget. Sevilla retired Puerta's number 16 shirt, hanging it like a banner of eternal memory. And every season, before their first home match, the club and its supporters stand in tribute. A moment of silence that says more than any words could. Another tragic loss is that of Miklos Feher. He was one of those players who carried joy wherever he went. The Hungarian forward had a grin that never left his face. The kind of player fans couldn't help but love. At just 24, he had already made his mark at Benfica, known for his energy, intelligence, and that infectious smile. January 25th, 2004. A cold evening in Guimarães, Benfica were playing Victoria SC in a routine league match. In the closing minutes, Feher was shown a yellow card. He smiled, tilted his head forward as if in disbelief, and then, in a moment that froze time, he collapsed onto the grass. No one moved at first. They panic. Teammates screamed for help. The referee called for medics. Paramedics sprinted onto the pitch, performing CPR as the world watched in stunned silence. Minutes felt like hours. Feher was rushed to the hospital, but it was too late. He was pronounced dead that night. Cardiac arrhythmia, an irregular heartbeat that struck without warning. The news shattered Portugal. Benfica fans gathered outside the Estádio da Luz, blanketing the gates with flowers, scarves, and candles. His number 29 shirt was retired forever. No one would ever wear it again. For days, television channels replayed those haunting final moments. That smile, that fall, that silence. But amid the grief came change. Feher's death became a wake-up call for football. A reminder that even the fittest athletes can face unseen dangers. It pushed clubs and federations to take medical readings more seriously, ensuring that no such moment would ever unfold again without the right support. Sadly, he wouldn't be the last. Piermario Morosini's life was a story of courage born from heartbreak. Before he even turned 18, he had lost both parents and his disabled brother. Yet he refused to surrender his dream of becoming a professional footballer. His resilience defined him. On April 14, 2012, while playing for Livorno in a Series B match against Pescara, tragedy struck. Midway through the game, Morosini suddenly collapsed on the pitch. The referee halted play as medics sprinted to his aid, but precious minutes were lost when a police car accidentally blocked the ambulance's path to the field. He was finally rushed to the hospital, but it was too late. Morosini was pronounced dead at just 25 years old. The cause? Cardiac arrest. Italy was devastated. All football matches were postponed that weekend as fans and players across the country paid tribute to his bravery. In his honor, the Italian Football Federation introduced stricter emergency response rules in stadiums, ensuring that no player's life would again be left waiting at a locked gate. Cheick Tioté's story is one of grit, passion, and unshakable determination. Born in Ivory Coast, he climbed from humble beginnings to the grand stages of European football. With his powerful presence and tireless work rate, he became a symbol of commitment and a fan favorite at Newcastle United. In June 2017, while training with Beijing Enterprise in China, tragedy struck. Tioté suddenly collapsed on the training ground. Despite the desperate efforts of medical staff, he could not be revived. He was just 30 years old. The news sent shockwaves through the football world, especially in England, where fans still remember his unforgettable thunderbolt against Arsenal, the goal that sealed Newcastle's historic 4-4 comeback. Known for his humility and fierce dedication, Tioté was respected by teammates and rivals alike. Another tragic loss was Davide Astori. He was more than just Fiorentina's captain. He was their heartbeat, calm, composed, and deeply respected. He led by example both on and off the pitch. His leadership wasn't loud, it was steady, the kind that earned admiration from teammates and rivals alike. On March 4th, 2018, tragedy struck. While staying at a hotel in Udine ahead of a Serie A match, Astori failed to wake up. He was found lifeless in his room, having suffered a sudden cardiac arrest during the night. He was only 31 years old. Italy was stunned. All Serie A matches were immediately suspended as the football world mourned one of its most beloved figures. Days later, Fiorentina's players carried his coffin through streets lined with grieving fans chanting his name. His number 13 jersey was permanently retired, and across Italy, players wore shirts bearing David 13 in tribute. He left behind his partner and young daughter, and a legacy of humility, leadership, and love for the game that still echoes through Italian football. Thousands filled the cathedral at his funeral, proof that some captains never truly leave their teams. Emiliano Sala's death in 2019 sent shockwaves through the football world. After years of perseverance, the Argentine forward had finally secured his dream move, from Nantes to Cardiff City in the Premier League. On January 21st, 2019, he boarded a small private plane bound for Wales, eager to begin a new chapter, but the flight never arrived. The aircraft vanished over the English Channel, triggering an intense search. Days later, wreckage was discovered underwater, and Sala's body was recovered. He was just 28 years old. The pilot, David Astori, was never found, and investigators later revealed the flight had been arranged illegally and was unsafe. Sala's story became a heartbreaking symbol of ambition cut short, a player on the brink of his dream, lost too soon. Let's rewind to Andrés Escobar, also known as the Gentleman of Football. Calm, graceful, and a true ambassador for Colombia, both on and off the pitch. But his story became one of the sport's darkest tragedies. During the 1994 World Cup, Escobar accidentally scored an own goal against the United States, a moment that stunned his nation. Upon returning home, he urged fans to stay peaceful, reminding them that life doesn't end here. But just days later, on July 2nd, 1994, he was shot outside a nightclub in Medellin, reportedly in retaliation for the own goal and the gambling losses it caused. He was only 27. His murder exposed the dangerous ties between football, money, and violence in Colombia. Yet, Escobar's legacy endures. Not for that fateful goal, but for his dignity, humility, and the grace with which he carried his country's colors. Thousands mourned him, and to this day, his name stands as a symbol of respect and love for the game. Phil O'Donnell was more than just a footballer. He was a captain, a mentor, and a devoted family man. On December 29, 2007, during a match between Motherwell and Dundee United, tragedy struck. Moments after being substituted, O'Donnell suddenly collapsed on the pitch. Despite immediate medical attention, he was later pronounced dead at the hospital from heart failure. He was just 35. The loss devastated Scottish football. O'Donnell's nephew, also on the field that day, witnessed the heartbreaking moment. Tributes poured in from across the country, with both Motherwell and Celtic, the clubs he once played for, honoring his legacy. Today, the man's stand at Motherwell's Fir Park bears his name, a lasting tribute to a man whose leadership, kindness, and love for the game continue to inspire all who knew him. The lives of these players were tragically cut short, but their spirits, courage, and love for the game will never be forgotten. Let's honor them by remembering the human side of the beautiful game.